terms of going back to chiropractic healing, and we were talking about how it can actually help in terms of your brain and your heart and living aligned. How does it also work with, let's say, your spiritual body? Because we've talked about the physical body. We've talked a little bit about how it connects to the brain, but how does it connect to spirit?
So the main purpose of why I do what I do, to align the skull back to alignment, the only reason why I do is to unite the spiritual with the physical. That's it. Whether that happens to relieve someone from migraine, great. Whether that happens to relieve someone from infertility and now they're able to have a baby, I've had a lot of that, that's awesome. It's still, my main purpose is to unite the spiritual with the physical. So there was Bucky Fuller, who studied a lot of, I don't know if you've heard, synergetic works and works in the energy fields that kind of permeate through us, and now we know that there's this literal intelligence, right? Whether you want to call it a spiritual connection. One simple example is I could come up with an idea, very unique idea, and if I don't act on it, someone takes it, right? So I literally put it out there. The Egyptians call it the mana, like all is mind, it's all intelligence. So from that component, it's been found that in the middle of the brain, close to the pineal gland, in the limbic system more or less, there are two, and this is what Bucky Fuller looked into, there are two sensors that literally from both hemispheres gather this light or intelligence and brings it into chirality, meaning spins them, and then it sits in the heart. That's already kind of measured and traced. So that's also another way why chiropractic was born, is the chirality of that permeation of intelligence through it. So you can view that as a better spiritual connection to source, to your own soul expression. The way I say soul, S-O-U-L, is the spirit of unconditional love, S-O-U-L.
Spirit of unconditional love.
Yeah.
That's really cool, yeah.
And so when you are misaligned, right, that is not, like you said, the antenna is kind of off. You're not going to be as tuned in. You're not going to channel as well. And being in a present time conscious state, which is when spirit is present with the body as one and you're just experiencing as it is, versus your human perception of what is. There's a difference.
So just to clarify, I think what I'm understanding, and you can totally chime in and correct me if I'm wrong, but being in present state is kind of being in a meditative state, like where it's like you are here and now. You're everything and nothing. Like you experience it all, like this oneness, and just like this, like you're able to just like kind of go, if you're in an active meditative state, right? There's active meditation and passive meditation, right?
Right.
So you're able to experience it all, and you're also able to experience nothing, because that's what the universal law is too, right? Right. Am I understanding that correctly? So when you are in alignment, you have beyond your pineal gland, you have so that's like the third eye, the sixth chakra. Then you have your crown chakra, and your crown chakra is this like open vortex above your head and in the energetic body that is like your direct connection to the universe. So that if your spine is off and the ethereal body is also going in that direction, you might be receiving something that isn't in alignment with you.
Exactly. And I didn't believe it at first. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool, until I started my own journey in alignment. Like for me, I didn't have any pain or discomfort. I just was like, okay, let me try this. It sounds cool. So I went to one of the masters in the work that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His name is Dr. Robert Brooks. And he gave me my first correction, we call it, alignment. And it was weird because the next day I started throwing up, and I called him and I was like, what happened? What's going on? And he said, well, your body is now connected. It apparently needs to get rid of something. I was like, okay, it doesn't feel good. But I continued. I actually noticed it with my grades, because I was never really like a really good student. I was always like a C student. And, I remember I was under care and I was getting aligned, and I got my grades, and all of a sudden it was like straight A's. And I was like, oh, I got lucky. I was like, this is cool. For some reason, I didn't connect it to the care at all. I just stopped the care. I think it's because of time or something, because I was busy in grad school. And then I remember got my grades, and they were back to like C's. I was like, okay, whatever it was. I just got lucky. And then I got back on care. Again, I didn't connect it. And then I got my grades again. I noticed they were up again. And I was like, wait a minute, what changed? What was the difference? And the only thing I did was just being more aligned. I was like, this is interesting, right? Then I started seeing what else changed. And I noticed that that's when I started meditating a lot more. That's when I got the vision to even come to New York.
No way, really?
So, because I'm not from here or anything. Like, when I started contemplating, where am I going to be of service in the world? And every time I would meditate on an option where I had an offer, New York would come to mind. It was really weird. It would my meditation, like me floating on top of New York. And I don't have any friends here. I don't have any family. I've never even visited. But that kept happening. I was like, that's where I got to go. But all of that took place because I was in alignment, because synchronicities took place. For example, once I made that decision, I called one practice who the owner said, I just happened to be in San Francisco this Friday, because it was on a Tuesday that I called. If I would have waited, that would not have happened, right?
So wild. And
then when we met, he offered me a position. And then soon after I came here, like I quit actually, because I worked for this chiropractor for about 2 months. I was like, no, because the next vision that I had was to open up my own practice. But here I am with student loans in like Manhattan, and like, okay, yeah, open up your practice. But when I made that decision, there was someone else who just moved to New York also, who was an investor. And he said, I'm looking for a young doc to open up a practice with. Like, here I am. And it just happened like that, right? Because I was in alignment, because I was just trusting and not questioning. It was just synchronicities kind of just kept taking place. That was my kind of story, and how I experienced being in alignment as it relates to your full potential, which is what I called the practice when I first opened it, which is, it was called Human Potential Chiropractic. It was just about doing that. Now I coined it and I rebranded it to AMAYU Institute, and AMAYU stands for spiritual purpose in my native language, which is Aymara. So.
What is your native language?
Aymara. I don't know it fully. I know a few words. My grandma is fluent.
Is that a specific dialect in Latin America?
It's a specific language. There's not that many. Most people are from the Andes. Most people know of Quechua, but Aymara is more like the high altitude area.